get out of order match business clashes with the Open starting in a bit. So we're going to play the matches for those that have those potential clashes. On table 7, Sanjay Patel, Michael Clark. Sanjay Patel, Michael Clark, table 7. On table number 2, Ryan Bodsworth, Luke Cronin. Ryan Bodsworth, Luke Cronin, table 2. On table 10, Rob Warren, Tony Jackman. Rob Warren, Tony Jackman, table 10. On table 17, Scott Pope, Dave Fernandez. Scott Pope, Dave Fernandez, table 17. On table 20, Josh Corkett, Clint Hansen. Josh Corkett, Clint Hansen, table 20. On table 23, Scott Rutter, Craig Hart. Scott Rutter, Craig Hart, table 23. Table 26, Andy Shaw, Gaz Royds. Andy Shaw, Gaz Royds, table 26. On table 28, Jonathan Bushnell, Jamie Fay. Jonathan Bushnell, Jamie Fay, table 28. Next match on table 14, Jack Whelan, Matthew Povey. Jack Whelan, Matthew Povey, table 14. Next match on table 3, Andy Williams, Tony Reid. Andy Williams, Tony Reid. Stevie Dempsey, table 1. Stevie Dempsey in the room. Table 1, stream table, waiting for you. Josh Corkett, top table, Josh Corkett. Could we have one of the table teams to table 18, please? Give it a bit of a brush line, please. Table 18 and 24 as well. 18 and 24. Next match on table 12, Eddie Barker, Mark Price. Eddie Barker, Mark Price, table 12.
Good morning and welcome back to the Hilton Metropole for continued live coverage of Event 2 of the World Rules Pool Tour. Next up, Stevie Dempsey and Paul Keepin. This is the Jason Owen Open, so best of 7, first of 4 goes through. A lot of pool being played this weekend. Played down to the last 32 of the main event last night. Action began again 9 o'clock this morning in this tournament. Looks like a fairly promising opening here for Stevie. Important to make a quick start in this match. When you're playing the best of 7, you can't afford to get too far behind, so be looking to get the job done here. And that, you would think, has solved the only potential difficulty. Now got another simple plant to the same pocket. Pretty hard to keep up with the action, Nick, isn't it? So many people being shouted out, and these matches are quite short, so they're coming and going.
Yeah, thick and fast. So many, there is so much action. Of course, the main event restarts at midday today, the last 32, so we'll have that action. So guys, why don't you let us know which match you'd like to see in the last 32. If you comment on the Facebook page which match you would like in that last 32, then Neil Toms will see that, and you can have some influence. I'll quickly run through the games. We've got Neil Raybone, Ryan Francis, Declan Brennan, Matt Cook, Glenn Whitmore, Dave Fernandez, Cleve Thompson, Jamie Fay, Lee Howitt against Gaz Hibbert, Rob Warren against John McAllister, Liam Gollop against Jack Whelan, Ryan Bodworth, Scott Gillespie, Shane Thompson, Jamie Stokes, Aaron Davis, Jake Dylan Newlove, Sanjay Patel, Clint Ianson, Phil Harrison, Arthur and Dad. That'll be a good game. That's got some good potential. Tom Cousins playing Oli Bell, Matt Briley, Tom Price, Adam Davis, Carl Morris. There's another noticeable draw. And Neil Davey against Steve Smart. Those are the 16 matches. So why don't you let us know? If you want a refresher, go to qscore.com and follow the live link, and you can see the full draw. But yeah, stick a comment on the World Rules Pool Tour page, or maybe on the stream. Maybe tag in Neil Toms, tell him who you want on the stream.
Pretty mouth-watering matches there, especially some of those last few you read out.
Isn't there ever? Yeah, we should maybe think about trying to do a poll. Maybe get someone on the top table to put up a poll when we get to the last 8 to see who you guys want to watch.
It's a bit unlucky there for Paul as he turned away to get his playing cue. The white got cannoned into the centre pocket, so another chance for Stevie Dempsey.
The two games that stand out there for me, Phil Harrison, Arf and Dad. But also, I'd love to see that Tom Cousins Oli Bell game, because that could be a cracker.
Yeah, I was going to say, from a streaming point of view, that sounds like the ideal match.
Yeah. So if you're recently joining us, welcome to the action. This is the World Rules Pool Tour Event 2, Day 2. We're following the action from the Jason Owen Open. These are races to 4. As I say, back with the main event action from midday.
So far, Steve is complying with our plan. We've got 30 minutes to finish this match if we're going to keep on schedule, have the next match start at midday. Looks like he may well be 2-0 up after this visit. A slightly difficult red is the one near the right-hand centre pocket. Can either elect to move, potentially even off this shot, or may just choose to play a double on it.
Jack Whelan, you see on table 14. Test your pool knowledge, Mark. What year was Jack Whelan the world champion?
Oh, we were doing really badly at this game last time, weren't we? A few years, 16, 17?
I think it was 16. No, I think it was 15. Yeah.
15.
Yeah, Paul just saved me then. I was going to say 16, but was that Hibbert? Yeah, 16 was Hibbert. 17, Craig Marsh. 18, Ben Davis. And then 19, Mark Farnsworth. And then John McAllister. It's current. Or was that the other way around? Hang on. John McAllister, current. Yeah. That's either right or I just made it all up and it's complete nonsense.
Of course, the Black Ball World Champion. Mick Hill and a few others have been clocking up the World Rules titles in the meantime.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, not forgetting.
The tournament organiser, Neil Toms, just lagging on table 15, kicking off his match.
Well, I never really bother running through the world rules, world champions, because it's just normally Mick Hill.
Yeah, in recent years it certainly has. A couple of Tom Cousins before that.
Cousins and Chippy, John Rowe,
Yeah, John
Adam
Rowe.
Davis.
I think John Rowe was 2012. It feels much more recent than that.
Yeah,
I was
9 years
watching him
ago,
play
yeah.
downstairs a moment ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam Davis was the year before that. That was 2011.
09 was Harrison, was it?
Harrison, yeah. Yeah, very hard to believe that was 12 years ago. We've
Yeah.
been in some finals since then, but
Yeah.
come up against Mick Hill, which isn't a great place to be. I remember that Sean Chipperfield year well. That was one of the most dominant performances, which is front of my mind as I'm playing him in an hour's time. Let's hope he doesn't play like that again.
That's the reward you get for beating Lee Washwood this morning. You get a match with Chippy.
Yeah, he was on the next table. I hadn't looked at the draw, but they were obviously just done them by table order, so that kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Quite glad to have got the first match out of the way. Playing at 9 o'clock, it's not anybody's first choice. I don't think it feels a bit wrong playing a pool match at that time of day.
So Stevie Dempsey, having lost that first frame, well, I was just about to say, having won the first frame, missed the black in this frame. I was about to say it's going to cost him the frame, but Paul's overrun that black by some margin. Goodness.
Well, that would have been a trick shot.
I was going to say, if that had gone in, that would have been something incredible. I was chalking that frame up to Paul, but my goodness, he overhit. But I mean, there was such a margin of error. He could literally anywhere.
Yeah, it's one of those ones once you've played it, you're just kicking yourself. You're thinking like, just leave a longer shot.
Yeah.
When in the moment, you're thinking, try and get close to it.
I mean, if you left yourself on the bulk line, you still fancy putting it 99 times out of 100. So it's
And although these tables are fast, they're not. I wouldn't say they're crazy fast. They're not. It's not one of those ones where you just can't control shots like that. Like some tournament tables can be that fast, but these are quite a moderate.
I think the issue with this table is just that little bit quicker again. I mean, I spoke to Lee Mannion yesterday after he came off against Tom Cousins, and he said that was crazy how quick. And he'd come off the outer table, suddenly playing on this one, and he said it was crazy how fast it was. It was it really caught him out. And it's always amazing that it always seems to be the arena table that plays that much differently. And I'd always historically put it down to the extra lighting in here probably heats the table a bit more, makes it a bit quicker. But actually, LED lights, there's no extra heat down there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like every snooker commentary, you always hear them make exactly the same point about the lights. But yeah, I mean, actually, modern ones don't generate much heat. And we're not doing anything different with this table from.
No, precisely. I mean, it's it is strange, but for some bizarre reason, it does play differently. It does play faster, but yeah, weird.
And the extra adrenaline of being on the stream, perhaps you put 5% more in the show.
Yeah, yep. 1 extra wheat of Bix for breakfast this morning.
Yeah. Either way, overhitting that shot has proved costly because that was the difference between 2-0 and 1-1.
Yeah.
And as we're saying, a race to 4, like 2-0 down is not a good place to be. A bit of work to be done, Stevie here. He's got this red down the left-hand side table. On this kind of match table, these pop pretty easily down the line. There's no need to think about moving it, but you've obviously got to cue it. And then there's the one on the bottom right-hand corner. Does pop, but you need to be in the right position for it. Slightly covered by the yellow.
I'm looking. Oh, didn't expect him to miss that.
No, I mean these pockets are generous, but he
didn't
brushed that well into the
give it a
cushion.
chance. I'm really looking forward to 1 o'clock. The blind triples is being drawn at 1, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the matches that one throws up.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's such a random output. There's so many good people here. There's going to be one team where there are 3 world champions or 3 people you've heard of. Although, I mean, it's also the format fairly quick, and playing 1 frame at a time against 3 different people, it also throws up some surprise results even when you get good players in the same team. Meanwhile, on this table, Paul still struggling slightly. At least missed that one.
Just not settled, has he, at all? Paul, not a player I'm familiar with, so maybe, hasn't really been in this environment of the arena before, and it is quite an intimidating place to be.
Yeah, I mean, even though there isn't a massive live crowd earlier on in the day, everyone's still playing. Like, if you play later in the day, there's a lot of people watching, but just still the thought you're being streamed and thinking, oh, it'd be nice to play well, I can go back and watch that after the match.
Yeah.
Next match on table 10, Aaron Davies, Andy Barker. Aaron Davies, Andy Barker, table 10. On table number 9, Andrew Moore, Chris Day. Andrew Moore, Chris Day, table 9. If one of Andrew and Chris can pick up the tablet on their way to the top table, please. Andrew Moore, Chris Day, table 9.
So the voice of Mark Shepherd has suddenly changed, and he now sounds just like Carl Morris.
Hello there. Well, this photo is strange. For the first time in my life, I put on what we call headphones, which I've never ever worn. I mean, I suppose when you're deaf, you don't really wear headphones, do. But let's have a go.
Yeah,
let's have a go.
Absolutely. So it's amazing to have you on comms, and hey, I mean, it's what a moment for me. The first time you've ever commentated, and you're in the chair.
Well, I suppose the thing is here, for anybody listening to this, I mean, most people know that I'm deaf, and I'm profoundly deaf, and I rely on lip reading. So to sort of sit in a commentary box, trying to lip read you, Nick, while watching the poll and analyse it. So forgive me if you hear Nick ask a question and I sit here in silence and I haven't answered them. It's because I'm watching the poll and not listening to Nick.
Yeah, it's because he's ignoring me, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So I know we've only got a few minutes now because you're going to be playing again later. But I would love to get you back in for a match later on, because I'd love to hear your insight into the game, because I mean, you've got a wonderful way, you've got so much experience. And I always love commentating with people like Rob Chilton and Mick Hill and people like that, because they've got so much insight into the game. And when I watch you play, your patterns are fantastic. So it'd be good to do a whole match later on where we can get the viewers to get into your mind a little bit more.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the only time I ever really commentate is when I I'm sat in the room with Phil Harrison because we often share a room together. And we're watching the pool, and I suppose we're having our own commentary, sort of saying what I think should happen and what Phil thinks should happen. And a lot of the time, we do agree, oh, did you see that? That was a miss. Obviously, it was a tight cut just then. But he's had to put a little bit of side on that, I think, in order to try and push the ball in.
Yeah.
But when you put side on, you're creating a bit of a swerve on the cue ball, and that is where it can go a bit wrong. But moving back to Phil Harrison, it's interesting because even though we've both been playing the game for years, we've got different views. Phil plays a certain game, I play a different kind of game. So we sometimes look at a situation, and I might go about it one particular way, whereas Phil is a bit more of an attacking player. He will go about it a different way. But it does open my eyes sometimes to the way that Phil thinks.
So do you actually sit and watch a match together and actually have a debate on how you would go about a clearance?
We've not had a great deal of opportunities because, the streaming, I think all the streaming service came out. What people don't realise is that when I quit playing pool 10, 11 years ago, the internet wasn't that big. They didn't have streaming, and I've only really discovered all that kind of stuff since I've come back into pool. And I've had limited opportunities, but Phil and I have watched 1 or 2 matches together. So, but look here, he's got not the easiest shot.
Oh dear.
Now look at this. Oh, he's got 2 shots. I'm going to blame Nick for this because I've been talking to Nick, not watching, and I didn't realise he had 2. I thought, but then having said that, he missed the black, didn't he?
Missed the black, yeah.
But yeah, you've got to make sure he gets it dead centre.
But I mean,
that was risky.
Yeah.
Threw him back that much. But there we go. It's all right.
You're obviously enjoying it though, because I saw you do some of the punditry at the Ultimate Pool between the matches. Did you enjoy doing that as well?
Well, I haven't done any commentary, but I think I was asked to do an analysis.
That's right. Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the thing is here, I don't really know what the difference is between analysis. I suppose on the analysis or on live television, my big worry is that I don't understand what's being said. And I don't think there's anything worse than sort of be sat there like a hare caught in the spotlights when you don't understand what. And actually thinking back, I think when I was speaking to one of the guys at the Ultimate Pool, what did he say? He said, I thought he said pairs. I thought he was referring to the pairs competition, but he actually said players.
Oh yeah.
And I think because of his accent, I started. I was just about to start talking about the pairs, the doubles, and then I thought to myself, well, hang on, what's the doubles got to do with it? He must have said something else.
Yeah.
And I think I managed to hide that very well. But let's have a look here at the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, instead of talking about stuff, we'll see what's happening.
So how are you looking at this
now,
table? How are you going about the clearance?
Who broke?
So this was Paul.
Oh, it's Paul.
Paul
break. Broke.
Yeah.
Right.
So when
obviously, I thought that was a little bit risky going for the yellows because they've got 1 red here, which is a bit difficult. But
when you approach a table like this after the break, how are you looking at the pattern? Are you working from the black backwards?
Well, I think the first thing I do, I break. Just taking the situation, depending sometimes if the white ball ends up in a situation where you've got a difficult first pot. There's no point looking at the black.
Yeah.
Have a look and see, can we pot a red, can we pot a yellow? If you can pot a red and a yellow, are you able to pot that ball and get into position for the next shot? If you can do that, then you can then look at the black and sort of, but I think having played pool for so many years, you just kind of take it in, you analyse everything in a matter of seconds. You don't consciously do it, which is why it's quite interesting sitting here as a commentator, because for the first time in my life, I'm faced with a situation where I'm having to explain how I think, rather than just doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now looking here at what Steve's doing, He's played a very good shot here, knowing that if he overhits it or underhits it, as long as he plays the right angle, he's made it difficult for Paul. I mean, in terms of once they've broken off, if you know that you can clear up and the finish is there, you have to look at the black, and then you have a look at your last object ball, last colour that you can go for, because the thing with that's a foul. You just missed it. The thing with playing colours is that if you make a mistake, get in position, you've got other colours you can potentially go for.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the black, you've only got one opportunity to get on that black.
Yeah.
Which is why, obviously, looking at the last ball is key.
Yeah.
And if you can try and work out the clearance where, as you get down to the last 1, 2, 3 object balls and make it simple, then you're less likely to go wrong.
Yeah.
That's my game. I've always said the less, good shot, the less you have to do with the cue ball, the better. The less you have to do with the cue ball, the less likely you are to make a mistake.
Yeah. So everything has a pocket now. He's probably going to have to take the one to top right.
Well, he's got 2 shots, so I wasn't sure that would be the right shot. So I mean, he's left the putt into the bottom right pocket. Personally, I would have gone for the top left, just to try and keep control of the cue ball a bit better. But that's a good shot. I mean, sometimes it's difficult when you're watching to see just how much of the pocket you can actually see.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to say, I think he's got about it the wrong way, but when they're on the table, you can actually have a look to see whether you can see the whole pocket or whether you can see 80% of it or half of it. But having seen what he's done here, Steve's obviously gone about it the right way. Yeah, he's a good player, Steve. He's a very good player. I played him last night in the main event. And I tell you what, in the first 2 matches I played, I wasn't on top of my game. I made mistakes. I made a few silly mistakes. But my opponents, unfortunately for them, unfortunately for me, didn't punish me for the mistakes I made, which is why I managed to win those matches.
Yeah.
But then obviously when I got drawn against Steve Dempsey, and I had to play him at 10:30 last night, it was 11 o'clock by the time we started, against somebody like Steve. If you make a mistake, you get punished. He's a good, solid player. I see a lot of myself in Steve because he's very analytical. He thinks everything through. He stops and he reassesses after each shot. He doesn't set out. He would set out a clearance pattern like I do, and he would try and stick to that pattern, that routine. And obviously sometimes when you get out of position, you have to change it. But it doesn't matter. Even if you get the right, he still stops to take a moment to look at the next shot and the shot beyond that, and then come back. So he's looking at 2 and 3 and going back to 1, playing 1, then looking at 3 and 4 and coming back to 2, then looking at 4 and 5 and coming back to 3 and so on. And by doing that, you make sure that you stay in control of the situation. And when I play Steve, who was been a bit unlucky here, and playing Steve last night, I knew if I make any mistakes, he's going to punish me for it. But often, when you play somebody you know is going to punish you, your game goes up, you raise your game. And it was a great match we played last night, and the first 5 frames were all breaking dishes or reverse dishes. The first 4 was breaking dishes, and then I broke dry and he reverse dished. And I went all the way to 6-5. And I've got an opportunity to win the match, whereas I had to play a shot in order to try and dun the ball across, but I was worried about snookering myself. So I ceased up a little bit. Despite the fact I've been playing for 30 years, it still happens.
Yeah.
I seized up, left it short, and ended up losing that frame. And then it was Steve's break, I think, in the last frame. And he had an opportunity, but he made a mistake, and I punished him for that, and I ended up winning 7-6. But I tell you, it's a very, very tough player to beat. So,
interesting. You were talking about your style there. When we were watching Tom Cousins last night, I was talking about the contrast in style, and I mentioned the contrast between you and someone like Tom. So Tom's a a very kind of languid play. He plays at the same pace constantly.
Yeah.
He's not a busy player. He doesn't look at the next shot and the next shot on. He just plays to an area.
Yeah.
Whereas you're much more busy. You're looking at the next shot. You're lining it up with your cue. You're telling us where you want to be. You're pointing with your fingers. And I mean, you must burn a lot of mental energy when you're playing a match of pool.
Yeah, and I think that's a big difference. I think when people say you play to your abilities, when you look at somebody like Tom Cousins, right, I put it straight, a snooker. I'm absolutely useless. I'm absolutely rubbish at snooker. Oh, it's a good shot, but he needed to play that a bit harder. He's not really got into that. I think he's screwed it a little bit rather than just playing top and a lot of right-hand side. I think more right-hand side would have carried the ball all the way around.
Yeah.
But we'll see what he does. He's going to have to try and cut that in. And possibly he can cut the yellow into the top right pocket with a bit of left-hand side, come off the top cushion, off the side, between the two reds in the middle of the table, off the bottom cushion, off the right side, and back up again. That is the only way he's going to land on it. But to do that, it's going to have to be a hell of a shot. And I think that's what Steve's going to try and do. So we'll see. But going back to Tom, you look at somebody like Tom, his natural ability, his putting skill is far superior to mine. He can afford to play that way. He knows if he gets slightly out of position, doesn't matter. He can get back into position. If he's left himself, let's see what happens here. Top, a little bit of left. In between the gap, no.
Oh,
he's had to try and come between the gaps, but unfortunately he's clipped the red and given him 2 shots. Now from here, Paul shouldn't lose it, really. Coming back to Tom. He knows that if he gets out of position or leaves a longer shot, he's got that ability to put himself back in or to pot it.
Yeah.
But with that kind of player, I think his weapon is his potting. If he's not on top of his game and he's not potting the ball, he's got no game. Players like that, they've got no backup plan.
Yeah.
Whereas people like myself, Steve Dempsey, Mick Hale, all these players, if they're not potting well, they've got a plan B and a plan C. But obviously, people like ourselves, and that if it's one of those games we're both playing at the top of our games, the odds would be in people like Tom's favour because they've got that ability, that natural ability.
Sometimes don't make mistakes, do they?
Yeah,
Just don't get the chance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the thing is, if they drop their game a fraction, where they're the pants.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the difference. And if I drop my game and I'm not playing very well, whereas people like Tom don't play very well, and I do, I'm going to pounce on that and punish him. But if I don't play very well, he's not going to murder me and annihilate me because I've got a plan B and plan C. I'm still going to make him work for it.
Yeah.
And I can, rather than trying to lift to his standard, I drag him down to mine.
Yeah.
And then I change his game, and that is how I can win. That's what we say: win ugly, win dirty.
Just in the context of this game, I mean, now 3 frames to 2. Paul just needs one more to get level. Actually, he hasn't played this well in this match, but I think he'll be surprised to find himself still in the game.
Yeah. I think. I mean, the first of 4 is very cutthroat. I mean, it's a lot of pressure because when you play first of 7s, you know. Maybe if you make a mistake, you've got more of a chance to get back into it. But in these first of 4s, it's so cutthroat if we don't get off to a good start. But having said that, if we get off to a bad start or 3-1 down, whatever, and we come back to 3-2, especially when a player knows that they should have won it 4-1, that's going to play on their minds. So I think for some, when the score is 3-2, and we're looking at Paul. Now, if Paul wins the next frame and gets back to 3-3, knowing that he's made a mistake, that should have put him out, is going to play on his mind. Now, look here.
Look at this.
Paul's had a great break. Looking at that ball, the ball at the bottom left, near the bottom left pocket. That is the tricky one. What he needs to do here is he needs to get under that ball as soon as possible, preferably in a position where he can pot it and screw back out. That the ball at the top right, that can be his safety ball, his backup ball if things go wrong. If he can try and drop the ball in the middle, pot that on the bottom left, try and stun the white ball across, at least to try and get in the position. But if he can play the top left first, then all he has to do is pop the one in the bottom left, glue back into the yellow. Yeah, he can't see it, but that's fine, as long as he makes sure he pop the ball in the top left, glue back a bit.
He seemed to quit a bit on that shot.
Yeah, I think he seized up a bit. I
Yeah.
think he wanted to run across a little bit more and leave the bottom left pocket dead straight so he can screw it back out. But the thing is here, if he played that and he overhit that and left to right too far across where he plays that at an angle, it could make it difficult. So it's better to underhit than overhit. As long as he can screw back halfway. I would like to have seen him screw back maybe another half a foot.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, it's one of them shots where do try and screw it into the yellow and stop it. But if he doesn't do it right, or does he sort of drag it and hit the other? Oh,
he's lost it there.
That, for me, he's played that wrong. Because he kind of played between a deep screw and a drag.
Yeah.
Because if he'd have dragged it, he might have sort of potted it and come down and hit the bottom yellow and stopped the white there, which is good enough to pot that and get back on the black.
Yeah.
Or to try and pot it in the bottom left, but in the left part of the pocket and do a deep screw so he would have hit the yellow and stopped the white. But he kind of played in between the two, and that's where he went a bit wrong.
Yeah, misjudged the...
I'm afraid to say from that.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be game over.
Yeah. And that was a great chance as well.
Yeah, it was. I think what cost him it ultimately is playing the red in the top left pocket and not screwing back enough.
Yeah.
Because he made it slightly more difficult for himself than he needed to. Overhit that fraction, but it's just still be alright. I think he's got to try and keep the two shots. Yeah, especially the yellow towards the top of the table. That's missable.
Yeah.
I think he wants to just drop it in, play the second to last yellow, come off the cushion, and just knock. Well, no, he's going to just stun it across. For me, being the cultures player, I would have sort of left an angle where I can pop that ball, drop off the cushion onto the black, and just push the black into the middle of the table. Because that way, if I miss the yellow, I could just drop it in, black's in the middle.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's me being a little bit on the culture side, maybe a little bit negative, but I'm a percentages man.
So, Steve, with this black, wins the match, and he's through into the second round.
Yeah, I think Paul would be kicking himself a little bit.
Yeah, I think
not
so.
Bringing it back to 3-3, but I think Stephen can count his lucky starter.
Yeah.
He didn't have to play a decider.
Yeah, very much so. Carl, it's been an absolute pleasure to commentate with you, and a privilege for me to be in the chair on your first stint on commentary.
I appreciate you asking me doing this. I mean, I've got no idea whether I sound like a typical commentator or whether I've done the job completely wrong. I've got no idea.
Mate.
But I suppose if the complaints start rolling in, I know I'm doing something wrong.
Carl, you've been fabulous.
All right, thank you for having
really
me.
Appreciate
I'll speak to you soon.
Do join us again later for a stint.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mate, you need to stop winning, and then you can come and commentate with me. Because
I'd rather try and win than commentate. But if I get knocked out, well, more than happy.
You're spending too much time on the table and not enough in the commentary box, all right? So, best of luck for the rest of the event, and hopefully we'll see you again over the weekend. Thanks, Carl.
Very much, mate.
Really appreciate
it.
We'll be back with the action for that 12 o'clock round. We're not sure who's on the main event table yet, but we'll see you very shortly.